Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Ohio Guys here. I'm Christian Ocampo, and I'm joined by Rylan Strachan. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. I'm glad to be here, my friend.
Good? I hope I say your last name right.
You were close. It's Strachan, but the CH throws a lot of people off.
Strachan, I should have known.
That's okay.
Right. Well, it's good to have you here. It's been many years since we last had a Canadian voice actor, on our channel.
Oh, I'm flattered.
Well, I'm glad we are changing that up today. So we have a few questions we'd like to ask you. First of all, what's it like working in the industry today?
Whew. Okay, it's kind of fun you asked that question because I was asking myself that question a couple of months ago, and I actually made a documentary about it, asking myself what it was, and so I put together this whole documentary, gathered all of my voice acting friends. I had directors, I had sound engineers, I had people like Lucas Gilbertson, who was the voice of Zero in Mega Man X. I had Zoe Slusar, who was Kid Goku in the Canadian Dragon Ball and GT. And I even had one of my heroes in Canadian voicing, Roger Rhodes, who played Vegeta in the Canadian version of Dragon Ball. He narrated my documentary for me. So I was very flattered, and it was cool because we looked at what is the industry. We talked about how we all got into it, what a session's like for us. We talked about kind of that relationship between an actor and a director and how do you get roles. And it was really cool. And looking back on that process, it's a weird job. It's a weird business. And I always get a little hesitant when people ask me what I do because I literally tell them I make weird noises with my mouth for money. And then I have to, explain that a little bit more for them. But it's cool. It's the only job where you can almost be anything you want. You get to have fun. And for me, it's all about storytelling. I didn't really care what I was going to do for work. I just knew I liked to talk. I liked the sound of my own voice, and I wanted to tell stories. And through some weird circumstance, I ended up in an audition booth one day and started doing voices. And now we're talking here on Skype, and it's a great time. But working in the industry, it's tough. You're competing a lot, especially because a lot of things are done online now because of where the technology is. And so I'm competing against not only a very talented actor pool here in where I'm at in Calgary, but I'm competing against Edmonton actors, Vancouver actors, or if a show goes somewhere else, I mean, I'm just one small fish in a very, very large pond. So there's that. But it's really fun. I mean, it's a pretty tight-knit community in Calgary and in kind of Western Canada. We all know of each other at different points, and I've gotten to get to know some voice actors decently well. Yeah, I don't know if I'm even answering your question. I tend to ramble a lot.
No,
but
you are. This is different than what we're used to, especially on the Canadian side. This is all new information.
Oh, well, I mean, I'm not by any means the authority on what it means to be a Canadian voice actor, but my experience has been, it's had some moments of great community, even though we work in ADR, so we never see each other, except for when we pass each other in the hallway, going between booths, or going home, or coming there. It's fun when you're working on a project because you get to know not only just, you get to know the directors, you get to know the engineers, so you get to see all these different sides. And then you're working in this industry where you just kind of glide through it. No one really knows who you are. I mean, I think you were mentioning you couldn't find me on Twitter for the longest time because I don't exist. And it's cool because I do this job and people have heard of some of the shows I've done, but they don't necessarily know who I am, and I find that fascinating because it's like, I can do something, I can share a story, and then I can go eat chicken wings, and that's cool because no one's going to notice that Rylan's off eating chicken wings.
All right, so that was summed up nicely. Now it's time for the big question we've all been waiting for.
Okay.
What was it like working on Kisnov or Kisniver?
Kisniver was terrifying. For several reasons. First of all, it was I had watched the Japanese version, and I was intimidated to the point where I was like, okay, if I'm in this show, maybe I don't want to play Katsuhira, because he's going to be the hardest role to play, but at the same time being like, oh my goodness, how great would it be to play this character? And for me, looking at this guy, I came to an understanding that to play Katsuhira, you'd have to do something really weird, because if you think about a regular human, a regular actor, a regular character, your range of human emotion and dynamics is like massive. With Katsuhira, for like the majority of the series, he works in a capacity like this. But to be the main character and have a capacity like this, I have to figure out how to make this interesting emotionally. And so I got the role, and I was home alone at the time, and I literally ran around my house screaming because I didn't know what to do with myself. And then I got to the studio, I was talking to people, I'm telling them I'm freaking out, and I had two people kind of wake me up to the idea of being in Kisniver. One was a director friend of mine who works at the studio I work with, and he's like, Rylan, you're going to be fine. You earned this role. These are the things you should think about. These are the things you're going to need to do well in this role. And the other one was Natasha Stricky, who plays Noriko. I told her, I was like, I'm really excited about Kisniver. I'm kind of freaking out because I was really the new kid on the block. There's some great people in this cast. Lucas Gilbert's in, and all these different people who I look up to because they've been in the industry for almost like 2 decades, and I've been in it for maybe stretching 2.5 years. And she was like, Rylan, stop being an idiot. You're going to be great. And so Kisniver was fantastic. It was this super interesting project where we had some time to collaborate because it wasn't like a show that was going out every week. And so I was working with the director, Carl, and it felt like a collaboration. And like he would tell me what his thoughts were, and I'd be like, okay, cool, let's try that. And sometimes I'd be like, hey, can I have an idea for how to do this? And he's like, of course, Rylan, you can have ideas. And so sometimes we would go with my ideas, and that was great. There were other great things about Kisniver. The cast would write each other little notes in our script because, when we do ADR, we're only in the booth one at a time. And so I would come in and I'd flip, and there'd be jokes from, like, Yoshiharu, there'd be comments from Chidori, and then there'd be, like, little, like, side comments between me and Noriko's scenes of Natasha being, like, cracking a joke about her line, and then if I got ahead of her in the recording, I would write jokes for her to read in her next session. So that was really cool. And then it was just, I loved the story. I loved the idea of Katsuhira. This guy who seems, and at the start is just so almost melancholy. Maybe not melancholy is the right word, but he's just so neutral and kind of in his own world. But he cares still in his own way. And just his progression to breaking through, I thought it was really beautiful. Just the way that he was kind of pulled back into existence through all his friends and through his relationship with Noriko. And that was one of the things that really complicated the role for me and kind of intimidated me. Was I saw him as this character who was stuck in dimensions like this, but he, at the end, episode 9, episode 10, he starts to break through, and I've got to explode into a emotional range. And oh man, I think it's episode 9, maybe episode 10, where he finds his friends, his old Kisniver friends from the system, and he realizes that they don't have any emotion to express themselves, and he just breaks down crying. And that was a super weird episode for me to record, and the episode where I'm in the gym with Noriko and I start crying, those were 2 moments I was terrified to do, because I go from being calm, cool, and collected to just a mess. And I remember when I was doing the gym scene with Noriko, probably took like 2 hours to record. And for those 2 hours, I paced back and forth in the booth, just crying. And I'm bawling in the booth between takes. And we get to a break, and I go sit in the break room, and the sound engineer comes out, and I just look at him, and I'm like, sorry about that. You had to watch me cry, and that was weird for both of us. And then when it came to the one where I find Tonko and Pone and all those guys from the old system. I remember there's this big wail to basically end the episode. He breaks down and he just cries like crazy. And I remember we did a couple takes of that, and I just wasn't happy with what it was sounding like for me because I felt like it was such an important moment for Katsuhira. And I asked the director, I was like, hey, Carl, can I do one more take? I think I can go even uglier. And he's like, okay, sure. Let's see what happens. And I remember I just grabbed my shirt collar and I just wailed into this booth while I was trying to rip off my shirt. And it was exactly what I wanted and what I was picturing. Carl was like, okay, yeah, we'll go with that one. But yeah, Kisnever, it was, I mean, to not get cheesy or sentimental, it meant the world to me. It felt like I had finally cracked into the voice acting game. I mean, I had been in some shows, and I've been doing this for 2.5 years. But to have someone be like, hey, Rylan, we want you to be in this amazing project, and we want you to be the main character. It was a dream come true, because in voice acting, I'd always set goals. Okay, get into a show. All right, have a character with an actual name in a show instead of just like a number of a background character. And then I was like, okay, become a main character. Okay, next, be a lead character. And when that happened, I was like, holy crap, this is real. This is what I do. And yeah, it meant the world to me.
Such a great show, and such a strong impact it made in the anime news community. It was a hard hitter.
Thanks.
So some other projects you worked on. What was that working on Card Fighter Vanguard?
Oh man. Okay, I own everything to Card Fight Vanguard and Bushiroad. They've been so kind to me over the years. One of my first ever characters was a Card Fight Vanguard character named Stargate Branch Manager. And he was only in like 3 episodes. And I go back and I watch those because they're on YouTube and they're never going away. And I'm terrible. Absolutely terrible. But it was cool because that was me, and my voice is on the screen, and I can hear myself moving with this character. So Card Fight Vanguard's been great. I've been in several different seasons. I was the branch manager for 3 episodes, and then I became a character named Hiroki Moriyama, who in my opinion was the most lovable, psychotic bad guy. And he was fun because he was all over the place. And then Card Fight Vanguard gave me Kazuma Shoji, who's my main character for the last 2 seasons here. And he's been great. I love him. He's all the teenage angst in one character, and he's so much cooler than me, so I get into the booth and I gotta be cool for like 2 hours. And then the director just laughs at me for pretending that I'm all tough and gruff. And no, it's cool. Vanguard's been so much fun. I've gotten to do a couple things with them. I went to Bushiroad Grand Festival, and I got to meet a bunch of Vanguard fans, and they're some of the greatest fans. They just love the show so much, and they make it a real honor to be on it. But yeah, Card Fight Vanguard, it's really cool because it's an ongoing show, and so I've gotten to dive into those characters so much more. And like with Kazuma, what he was when they introduced him in like episode 1 or 2 of Vanguard G Next, where he is now in Vanguard G Z or Z. I guess if you're American, it'd be Z, but that Canadian alphabet. Just to see him evolve and grow as a character and as a human being, he's grown me as an actor. I mean, I approach him totally different now. So I owe a lot to Card Fight Vanguard. It's grown me a lot over the years.
All right. Next question. What was it like working on Future Card Buddy Fighting Batsu?
Buddy Fight. I love Buddy Fight. I get to play a dragon in Buddy Fight named Athora, and it was cool. I remember the first time I was in the booth for Athora, it threw me for a loop because I've never voiced a non-human before him. And so I saw this small little dragon, dog-sized dragon on the screen, and I was like, I totally botched the first take because I wasn't used to not seeing a human face instead of seeing this dragon. But it's been really cool because Athora is just he's a new character. He's got a different approach. I look at him as more parental, more noble, but yet has this huge goofy side. I mean, often he's trying to help and advise his human who he's partnered with, and then sometimes he's playing ping pong with his face. And as an actor, when the director tells you, all right, in this scene, you're playing ping pong with your face, and you lose, that's some of the most fun you're ever having, because you're screaming and you're reacting, and it's fun. And Buddy Fight's been really great because I have this character who goes from being kind of goofy at times to being kind of more noble, and he gets to yell a lot, and I love yelling in the booth, so Buddy Fight's been a lot of fun.
All right, now it's time for the funny question.
Okay.
If you could be any character you have played in real life, who will you be? And you can mix and match.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna go. Ooh. Okay, you've complicated things. All right. I'm gonna go and say Katsuhira for 2 reasons. Number 1, he's got a lot of cool friends that are really funny and a lot of fun, and even their voice actors are really funny and a lot of fun. And then he hangs out with Noriko all the time, and I was always on Team Noriko. I just thought it was the cutest thing ever. And Natasha Stricky is phenomenal, so she gets a win on that section. But I would also say maybe Kazuma, maybe half Kazuma, half Katsuhira, because Kazuma is so sarcastic and like gruff and cool, too cool for school. And I just love how he treats people because he's got this heart of gold, but yet he makes fun of a lot of people. So yeah, I would say maybe Katsuhira because he's got that really great friend group mixed with a little bit of Kazuma because he's just so sarcastic and cool and angsty. Really just what I want to be.
Okay, that worked.
Yeah.
All right, so another question. Is there anything else coming out that you can talk about or anything you want to plug in at this time?
I mean, that's the tough thing because you're always under contract, so
yes.
Nothing really I can talk about upcoming projects. I mean, there are some, I think, I hope. I don't know. I had to have to go back and check out my contracts. I don't know. You do stuff and it comes out eventually and you hear one and you're like, oh, right, I did that. People can check out the doc I made. It's really cool. It's called Voices in Calgary. It's Voices of Calgary, actually. I should know the name of my own doc. It's called Voices of Calgary. It's on YouTube. It's a lot of fun. It's got some great characters. It's got Hans Walkerhauser, who plays Yoshiharu in Kisniver, and it's got Lucas Gilbertson, who plays Tenga. So that's a lot of fun. You can get to see some of them, get to hear their voices, their take on the business. And it's got other cool people like Caroline Day and Zoe Slusar and Scott Roberts. So it's a lot of fun. And yeah, I would plug that. Check out the stuff I've made.
Yeah, everyone, all the viewers, check out Rylan's stuff on YouTube. So just type in his name, type in what he just told you, and you'll find it right there. It's a lot of good stuff. All right, now we've come to our final question. Yes,
all right.
Yes, everyone. Any Facebook, Twitter, or any other social media for the fans to contact you?
All right, fans, I'm going to be honest. I suck at social media. Christian can tell you that. It took him forever to get a hold of me. I've just rediscovered Twitter and my Twitter page. So if you want, you can give me a follow at Ryls21. That's RYLS21. And I'll try and be better at Twitter. But yeah.
All right. Well, again, thank you for joining me for this interview. Me and my group members, we appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. It was fun.
Yeah, it was. And thank you to the viewers who tuned in for this episode of the Ohio Guys. Thank you all. I'm Christian.
All right.
He's Rylan. See you next time. Bye-bye.